Hey everyone, welcome back to Inside Ambition. I'm one of your hosts, Gabrielle Remo, and thank you for joining me on this week's episode of Foresight 2020, a political segment where I cover all things presidential election up until November 3rd. And if you're paying attention, which I for one find it painful to, Election Day is November 3rd. Now, sisters, brothers, they, thems, and all others, when I am filming this, November 3rd is just 5 days away. The doomsday clock is in its final ticks and talks, but when you're watching this, either Election Day has commenced or it is past the doomsday. Hey, future Gabby, you doing okay? Friends, this is it. There's not much time left, but there still is content about the election to cover, and I intend on doing so until my last fighting breath, or until DUTV kicks me off the air, or until I graduate, or till I become a full-time stay-at-home dog mom who never watches the news in order to preserve what is left of my mental health, whichever one comes first. This week's episode is all about the final presidential debate between former Vice President Joe Biden and current President Donald Trump. But before we get into it, let's do some quick bookkeeping on the latest political news. For one, Amy Coney Barrett has been confirmed and sworn in as the new Supreme Court Justice, replacing the late Ruth Bader Ginsburg's seat. Justice Barrett filling the seat sparked major controversy due to the manner of her confirmation following the very recent death of RBG. Controversy also surrounds the issue of the filling of vacant seats so close to an election, comparable to the vacant seat of the late Justice Scalia. Back in 2016, President Barack Obama nominated Merrick Garland to fill the vacant seat, and the Senate, a majority Republican, never voted on his nomination. Number 2, early voting has commenced as I referenced in my last video. According to a CNN poll figure, as of last night, Wednesday, October 28, more than a third of registered voters, over 75 million Americans, have casted their ballots. Nearly half or more of registered voters in 15 states have already casted their ballots as well. According to The Guardian's poll tracking, Biden is leading favorably in national polls, which does not mean Biden has a surefire win. As we saw in the presidential election of 2016, when Hillary Clinton led the polls for the entirety of her campaign, she ended up losing in the Electoral College. And lastly, Trump and Biden are head-to-head in key battleground states, including Florida, Pennsylvania, and Ohio. Trump is said to be tied or trailing in every single swing state. All right, that was a lot. Don't click off now though. We haven't even talked about the presidential debate. And if you haven't voted yet, you should lean in. Or don't. I can't really tell you what to do. Let's get into it. To lay the groundwork, the debate was moderated by NBC's own Kristen Welker. The debate had 6 key topics for each of the candidates to answer. Keynote here, candidates answering. Following the first presidential debate and the mess that was the candidates interrupting each other with baloney and hoopla, the debate commission ruled that each candidate will be muted during his opponent's opening answers. But after that, speech is a free-for-all. The debate, in turn, was much calmer. Donald Trump didn't come in as hot. He whispered his angry responses. Biden gave a bunch of come-ons, and overall, it felt like a real debate, for the most part. The opening segment to the second and final presidential debate was about fighting COVID-19. Trump started by claiming that a vaccine has been finalized and will be announced in the next few weeks, and that the military will be distributing it through what is called Operation Warp Speed. He did not specify anything further than that. Trump praised his administration for the production on PPE and ventilators. He again asserted that the country is rounding the corner on the coronavirus. Biden, on the other hand, began by reminding everyone that there are 220,000 Americans dead due to the COVID-19 pandemic. He remarked that 200,000 more Americans are expected to die, and that if everyone wore masks, 100,000 could be potentially saved. Biden claimed this advisory to be from the president's own medical advisor, Dr. Anthony Fauci. He placed all the accountability on Trump for mishandling the pandemic. Many Democrats cite a powerful moment during the debate where Trump stated, "We are learning to live with it," referring to COVID-19, to which Biden's response was, "People are learning to die with it." And he addressed the empty seats in many American people's homes who have lost their loved ones due to the virus. Trump has claimed many end dates to the virus, first claiming that the pandemic would be over by Easter, later by the warm summer weather, and Biden criticized Trump on his COVID-19 plan, or lack thereof. Trump reassured the American people that he would reopen the entire country as soon as possible, while Biden agreed that he would as well, under stricter and clearer restrictions. There was some talk about xenophobia towards China, a lot of he said, she said, "You're racist, no I'm not, yes you are." It was just baloney and hoopla. The next segment covered national security, mainly about the recent report from the Director of National Intelligence reporting that Russia and Iran have been interfering with the ongoing election. Biden first responded that this is an interference with American sovereignty and that Russia, Iran, China, and any other country that meddles with the election will pay the price. Biden then commented on the close relationship between Trump and former NYC Mayor Rudy Giuliani, saying that he was a Russian pawn. He goes in hard in that notion that Trump is weak to Russia. And when it was Trump's turn to speak, he dodged the question, instead attacking Biden for allegedly receiving money from Russia, specifically the mayor of Moscow. Now, this is a very big claim, so let's fact check it. The claim that Biden received money from Russia stems from the politically charged report released by Republican members of the Senate during the investigation into Hunter Biden's relations with Russia and Ukraine. The report states that an investment firm co-founded by Hunter Biden in 2014, Rosemont Seneca, received $4.5 million from Alina Baturina, the wife of the former mayor of Moscow. This report was made on the basis of a confidential document, which has not been released publicly. This report, or lack thereof, cannot show a direct correlation of Hunter Biden's business dealings' influence to the foreign policy of the Obama administration. And in terms of the laptop with Hunter Biden's emails that the Trump administration claims to have and that was seized by the FBI, there are no public reports released on such yet. A new report released by the New York Times centered around Trump's tax returns and a secret bank account in China, saying he has and is continuing to receive money from their nation. Trump stated, "I was a businessman doing business. The bank account you're referring to, which is, everybody knows about it, it's listed, the bank account was in 2013. That's what it was. It was open and it was closed in 2015, I believe." There was small talk of missile defense and the possibilities of nuclear war between North Korea and other nations with nuclear capabilities. Trump claimed that his positive relationship with North Korea saved the US from inevitable war. Biden claimed that Trump legitimized North Korea and that during his work as the vice president of the Obama administration, they worked hard with South Korea to protect both their nation and the United States. During the Obama administration, North Korea conducted 4 nuclear tests, and the administration spoke publicly about their plans to negotiate denuclearization and place sanctions on their nation. This caused more friction between North Korea and the US. Healthcare and Medicare was the preceding segment. It was very similar to the first presidential debate, as Biden explained his plan for the public option, the effect of healthcare on pre-existing conditions, and Trump's claim that Biden wants to socialize medicine. You can refer to my first presidential debate episode for greater detail, but overall, Biden's plan is to allow Americans to choose private healthcare or the public option. Those who already claim benefits will be automatically retained, and it mostly benefits those who cannot afford healthcare. Biden stays firm in his claim that healthcare is a human right. He claims that his plan will cost over $750 billion over the course of 10 years. The next segment was about immigration and race relations. The Trump administration has been under a lot of fire for the harsh and cruel treatment of undocumented immigrants. The Trump administration's family separation policy, also known as the zero tolerance policy, allowed for family separation of asylum seekers and border crossers. This policy ended in 2018. The ACLU filed suit against the Trump administration, challenging the illegal practices regarding this. The government disclosed through the courts that over 2,600 children were separated from their parents. But this data, which was provided by the Department of Homeland Security, is possibly inaccurate. On October 2nd, 2018, the Department of Homeland Security's Inspector General released a report which stated that DHS has struggled to provide accurate, complete, and reliable data on family separations, meaning this number could be an undercount. But court documents revealed last week showed the aftermath of the zero tolerance policy. Lawyers say that they haven't been able to locate the parents of 545 children separated from their families. Hundreds of those parents were likely deported without their children. So, what is the response? Trump diverted the blame of his immigration policy and claimed that he inherited this situation, including the cages and inhumane treatment in ICE and Border Patrol facilities, from the Obama administration. He also stated that the zero tolerance policy has ended. However, Biden condemned Trump for leaving 545 children that have not been returned to their parents, stating that it was criminal. The candidates were then asked to address Black families about the talk, the general expression for a conversation Black parents have to have with their children regarding the dangers they face as people of color. Trump reminded the American people that Biden was a part of the 1994 crime bill, and how Biden, at one point, when speaking on the act, referred to young gang members as super predators. Trump pressed that Biden has done more harm than good for the Black community. Then, Trump claimed that he has done more for the Black community than any other president in U.S. history, with the possible exception being Abraham Lincoln. Biden spoke on his plans for reform on mandatory minimum sentences and drug rehabilitation over jail time. Trump claimed that the Obama administration failed to act on criminal justice reform in the 2 terms they served. Kristen Welker, the moderator, asked Trump about his public condemnation of the Black Lives Matter movement and Black and brown athletes exercising their First Amendment rights, and how his rhetoric on these issues contribute to a climate of racial strife. Trump said that he doesn't know what to say because he has taken care of Black colleges and universities in terms of funding, as well as contributed to criminal justice reform. He also responded with, "I am the least racist person in the room." Trump then reignited the flame against Biden on the 1994 crime bill. There was very short talk surrounding climate change. Trump remarked that we have the best environment amongst nations like China and India. Biden voiced that his climate plan will create jobs and preserve the environment. Biden also stated that he wants to move away from the oil industry, and Trump refuted this, that is a huge mistake for business. Finally, both candidates were asked about what they would say on their inauguration day to the Americans who did not vote for them. Trump began with a focus on the rise of the economy and how the rise in the economy was inclusive to all races and levels of education. Biden, on the other hand, promised to represent every American in the country, to choose science over fiction, to create new jobs through the development of clean energy, and to give Americans the even chance that they haven't been getting for the past 4 years. Woo! All right, are you guys still here? That was a mouthful, huh? But I wanted to cover it all. Viewers had the chance to learn about each of the candidates' values for the issues. I was sincerely impressed by how civil the event was, which maybe isn't saying much about how this election has been running. But Nonetheless, this final debate was a severe shift from the first. Most viewers condemned Trump for his eruptive behavior during the first presidential debate, but most post-debate polls favored Trump and cited that he won this final stage fight. But what do you think? Who do you think won this debate? Let me know in the comment section down below, or just, please let me know if you're good. Blink twice if you live through this very long episode. To close, as by the time you're watching this, the election day has come or it's beyond that, I hope you voted for the candidate you most align with and didn't sit this one out. Do not let your voice shake in what you believe in. But until next week, thank you for watching this week's episode of Foresight 2020. Now, more than ever, friends, remember to be kind in all that you do and to speak with conviction in all that you believe in. I wish us luck in this election. Be well.